I didn't see the list of people, but now I see you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Is Spencer there? Oh. Yes.
Yes, I was waving at you with my mic and camera off. I don't know why that didn't work.
Okay.
So how's it going?
Good.
Excellent. I am almost finished with perfect, and um, so I am looking at. I guess I should. So I should start over here with. I should start over here with sharing things, and we can start give people. Well, we're 5 minutes after. Excellent. So we are practically ready to go then. So if I was sharing my screen, that would be yes. And it would be entire screen would be that one there. Yeah, okay. So welcome everybody, and I will let people sign in. Like I say, we do not have Robert today, and we have Steve and Jerome, and we are making progress. So we'll let you all sign in. I will remind people that we are under Note Well, as always. So that would be a good thing for us to.
Sorry. Shouldn't the link be on the seller-04? Because I was looking on the seller website or on the ITF. I looked at the meeting, I clicked on Notepad for note takers and it's empty. But I realized that you're on 05 instead of 04.
Uh, that would not surprise me one bit. I was going back and forth at the last second. So if I am that, this is 5. And yes, I did that wrong. Sorry. X. And
Because like Jerome, I didn't hear anything, and I saw the thing was
oh,
empty.
yes, it
I
was.
thought
It's down as a future
canceled or
meeting.
something.
Yes, exactly. And we can fix that. Thank you for waking me up.
Better.
So, is that better?
Yes.
Good. And this will just to remind you guys, this is why we try to have 2 chairs. So I apologize that you two together are going to have to be the second chair. Note well, and people are signing in, and we actually do have previous notes as well. And did I interrupt Michael as he was signing in? I should probably, yeah. Okay, yeah. And do we actually have Dave? I'm never quite sure.
Not for the moment. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, not with audio. But he can write, I guess.
Yeah, I think if they, I think that there are people who manage to uh, stay in from previous meetings without audio or. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, it's just
Cool.
not easy
There
for
was there's
everyone.
Dave. We got we had Dave. We got Dave. I will give you up to date updates on who we actually have. Who's going? Yes, no, yes, no. Have people had a chance to look at our draft meetings from the previous
Yes.
minutes from the previous meeting? And
I did
were
not.
there any corrections?
No, it is fine for me.
Okay, cool. So we could say accepted with. Yep. Okay, and we said note well already. And do we? Okay, Robert had some actions on the application X font OTF, and I don't know if I've seen his responses on that. Wait, did we get Michael Richardson all of a sudden as a Zulip user? Cool. He might even join
He was
with
there from
more
the
than just
beginning.
Zulip.
Maybe just listening.
Cool. And I don't believe what is it. Which one is it? Is it Codex? We Control is the one that we dropped out, right?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay, and so that's our update on that one. And we had the so looking at our discussion for the tags, looking at our discussion for the tags draft, we were. I think this was the only action that we had. Basically, I think I'm happy with the responses that I've gotten back from tags-15. Do we know what to do for the EBU recommendations?
Still no, but maybe I can spend some more time, some actual code and see if things match.
Okay. And let's see. Cool. So I don't think we have any more feedback. I'm sorry.
There's
I'm
issue left for tags. Let me on the floating point string, and that Jerome commented. recently. I didn't have time to go through. Okay, and GitHub is too slow now. I didn't have time to look in detail, do that as soon as possible, but for me, that's the only real remaining issue because the EBU can be done later. But for now, as soon as this is merged, I will publish a new version, and that will probably be the one ready for the last call.
Okay. Yeah. And do we think that so will there when we have the merge and we've got the new and we've got -15, are we expecting any other changes?
Apart from the last call reviews and then the reviews for publishing, probably
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And
But
the
yeah.
EBU, I'll see if I have time either. I can put it in that document, otherwise it will be in the Matroska V5, which will be a mix of all kinds of things.
Okay. Cool.
Because when you, like, if you look at the YANA registry, people can add new tag names and explain them, and that's exactly what we should do for that one if it's not in this document.
So I have how what is the most painless way for me to do this? I started working my way through Steve's responses, and there's not very much that I think we need to talk about on the call. There's about 3 things at the bottom that I have not gotten to. This
Yes,
I
for
can just think.
example, in that one, I put reclaim because that's a term we used before for other things, but maybe that's not the right term for the reclaim deprecated. Basically, it's codec ideas that exist, but that should not be used and that should not be reused. So
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe we can call them reserved.
So when I hear that something is reclaimed in an IANA registry, I think I know what that means. But is it correct? Am I correct that that the things that we're talking about here that were reclaimed, uh, they have not been allocated in an IANA registry previously?
Correct, but they might be in use in the wild.
Yeah. Um, so I guess what I'm asking is, has anybody actually reclaimed them? Which to me, that means that could be used for something else. Like if I
No,
if I said we have reclaimed IP version 5, so now that we can use it for a different version of IP. That's what I think reclaimed means. But
yeah, but we do
we're
not want people to use it in the
yeah.
future because that could be that could
It
lead
is
to
forbidden. So yeah.
compatibility issues.
Yeah. So we can leave these as reclaimed for now. I just needed to ask the question. And your just checking these. Yes, perfect. Um,
Well, a lot
So
of the changes are the ones you proposed, so you should
yeah,
agree.
yeah. So I can approve that one, and um, what? And I can say approved in. Um, and your, like I say, seriously, there were like about 3. Yeah, perfect. There were about I got almost all the way through these this morning.
Yeah,
Almost.
took me a few hours of my weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like with the RFC reviews usually, because there's a lot. Uh, I can spend like a whole day just making merge requests to do the fixes, and then we still need to wait to merge and review, etc.
Okay. And I apologize for going. Um, yeah. So this is this is how far I got. So there were like 3 things at the bottom. My apologies. I will send this. Is it fair for me to send this now, or is it does it make sense for us to capture anything else that I need to capture? We need to capture here. Um, would that be okay?
From your email, most of the time when I agreed with the proposed change, I did the merge request. So basically, everything
Yeah,
that has a link, or sometimes the change was already done because there was something that was done in tags that also needed the same fix in Codex. So I did it there, but I didn't publish a new document yet. Uh,
yeah.
and then some of them I replied. So if there's no link, either I explain why it's like that, or yeah, I think there's like a couple of cases I don't know what to do. I don't remember which.
So I have comments on some. Do we want to talk about the ones that I had questions about on this call, or do you want to look at them first?
Um, I think it's better if you send them unless you think it's quick to discuss. I don't know. It's up to you.
Let me just look through and see. Um, I so like I made so there were things like this where I asked a question and you explained to me what I didn't understand. And I
Mhm.
said, "Oh, I understand. Now I have a different suggestion." So I have some like that. Um,
Okay.
and a lot of these are GitHub approved. Um, the what is this for this one? We actually need to talk to somebody who understands this better than I do. Um, yeah, what? And I'll fix the
Formatting.
yeah. And well, I could say I should be able to figure that out. So I'm not just thinking of things for you to spend time on. I'm trying to think things that I can help with. And that one, okay. And we have the same question, but it's about FFV1. So that's us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, the
is that,
wording is different than in the RFC.
yeah. And
Actually, the RFC probably copied the one that we used so far, but then I
mhm.
reworked it. So I don't know if we should go back to the previous version to match exactly what's in FFV1.
We can fix things if we need to. What is this?
But then if you want to implement FFV1 in Matroska, are you supposed to look in the FFV1 document or in ours?
I feel, tell me
Because
if
they
this is
don't do the
wrong.
same thing.
It is always the question, but we have for every FFV1, as we control both, we have put that everywhere in both. But it is done often in different specs. We have a copy passed from somewhere else, so it is not new.
So you can make me chase that down too. Okay. And this is good. This is merged. This is merged. This is merged. Your 982 looked perfect to me. This is kind of a high order bit, but basically when we say should, let me tell you what I think we're saying. We're saying this is what we think an implementation should do, but we can't promise that you're not going to find a Matroska media capsule that does this, we can't promise you will never see a Matroska media capsule that does it this other way. So I think that's kind of a formula for several of my comments that are about, why is this a should? I think the answer is
it is a must, actually. So I am reading it again, and it is just a must. So we change it in must, and that's all.
Yeah. So, but basically,
because it is not a standard. So it is just not the integrity is not good. So it is just so it is a must.
I think Steve was using the word legacy. So this was a legacy implementation, or this was a Matroska capsule that was created by a legacy implementation.
Well, basically, the
there is no
official code
legacy
to create VP9, so the libom library was not writing any codec private for a long time. So every first file that existed in VP9 didn't have it. And then when they started doing 10 bits, they realized that, we need to put something in the codec private. So that's when they started using it. But then that means a lot of people using the old libraries were still creating files without.
Yeah,
And
sure.
even in other projects that starting Moxing VP9, the documentation was not clear. And I even checked, but I don't even know if they say that should be there.
Yeah.
So on one hand, that's WebM. We're Matroska. We can make our own rules.
Yeah.
Except in the real world, there's a lot of VP9 files without a codec private. So if we say must be there, a clean player could say, oh, there's no codec private, that file is bogus, I'm not going to read it, even though you can completely
It
read it.
must be there only if it is 10-bit.
Yeah.
So it is like FFV1. In FFV1, the codec private must be there if it is version 3 or more. And it must not be there if it is version 0 or 1.
Yes, we could do that.
So if it is deep 10-bit content, it must be there, else it must not be there or something like that. Or if it is
Yeah.
It's even
8-bit
worse
content.
than that because even for 10 bits, there are plenty of files without the codec private. And when I started doing the hardware support, decoding support in VLC, to tell if a file is 10-bit or not, we need that codec private before starting to decode. We don't have any frame or anything. We just have the header of the file and we need to decide what we're going to do. And without the codec private, then we can do that and we decide not to use hardware decoding. So it's really bad not to have it. But I can tell you there are some files that don't have it. They can play, but only in software.
Yeah,
So
but
I would like
or
to
it can be in
have a
hardware.
must
Yeah.
even for 8 bits because
Mm.
if it's not there, you cannot tell it's 8 bit. It could still be 10 bit, but so that's why for me the must in an
Okay.
ideal world would be correct, except we need to let people know that
In
a lot
FFV1,
of
what we
files
did,
don't have it when they should have it.
for FFV1, we had such kind of stream too. And what we wrote in FFV1 is that the encoder must write it, and the decoder should handle something without something as the new something. So it is you can do a difference between the must for the implementation and what a decoder or a demuxer in that case should do if there is something else. We can write both.
Cool.
I agree.
So I'm just going through here. You have a lot of these that have been merged. You have a lot of these that have been, which I agreed with. And you have a lot of these that you created a new PR that I approved. So I think that there's an awful lot of this stuff that is not controversial. Um, I mean, we're going to do working group last call, so anybody has a chance to look at the actual resulting text before we do publication requested to our area director. Um, like I said, there's a lot of these that are perfect. There are a lot of these that are perfect. This one here on 4.1.1. So the text was more than two channels, like for 5.1. And I didn't understand that. And what I finally said to explain was more than two channels, like 3 or 4 or 5 channels. That makes
Yeah,
sense to
but
me.
usually when you have more than 2 channels, it's 5.1. That means you have .1 is the subwoofer, and 5 is the left, right, back, left,
Okay.
back, right, and center. So instead of saying these 6 channels, you just say 5.1, and people know normally when you talk about multi-channel, and that's the most common one after stereo.
Do we need to say like for 5.1? Because you're saying more than 2 channels already.
Yeah, we could remove it.
If you think it's clear to okay, so if you think it's clear to most of the people who are reading it, I believe you.
I think so, but if you don't understand 5.1, maybe now I'm wondering. I don't know.
Um, I'm fine with leaving it. So just when you're doing an IETF specification, when somebody asks a question, there's two things. When you have an answer, you have to decide it's one of two things. Either Spencer's the last person who's going to be confused, or there's going to be other people who are confused. And you know your audience better than I do. And if you tell me, Spencer, you're the last person who will ever be confused, I will believe you.
I think 5.1 is okay because I'm just thinking, like, for example, on Netflix, sometimes it tells you if something is in 4K or 5.1. And
Okay,
if
so
you don't know what
that's a
5.1, you
well-known
really
term.
wonder
Yeah.
what's this number next to the 4K. But most people realize that it's just multi-channel, like surround sound, something like that.
So, so I say, going through some more that I like. Um, when we're talking about, and there's a few of these that are similar, but saying, is that where I was? Yeah, that something should be done a certain way, and unless there's an obvious reason not to. And
Mm-hmm.
so the ones where you say, um, this is where it should be stored, but if it's not stored there, then you're going to have to do something else. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, but I mean, that particular paragraph is like basic rule of how you design, how do you map a codec into Matroska. And so you can apply some rules, but it really depends on your format. I don't
Yeah,
think there's like some hard rules that you have
yeah,
to. Some of them, for example, if you have a an audio codec, for audio, for example, the frequency and the number of channel is a mandatory element. So, and it has a default value. So if you don't write the proper value, it will use the default value, which will not correspond to your audio. So that's a problem because it will be mismatching. So in that case, you have to say that the sampling frequency and the audio channels in your audio format have to be mapped to the Matroska elements. But for a lot of other elements, if they are found in the format, and sometimes they are optional too, like if you have colorimetry in video, sometimes you have it in the stream, sometimes you don't, and so you guess what's the proper one. And so you cannot say that you have to map the always this field to that because it's not always available in the codec. So it's a bit tricky to make a general rule. That's why it should. And I don't know, maybe we can do add some text like you should do it as much as possible, for example.
Yeah. But so I think so. So there were a couple of these where you said, but we may not know all the reasons, and I believe you. I'm happy just giving an example reason, and there might be other reasons. But just so somebody you're helping an implementer who is reading the spec think about, well, that happens. So are there other things that I know about the spec that I'm working with, the codec that I'm working with, that would make me wonder if it was also true for that codec as well. So I don't think if there's only three answers, if there's only three reasons why something is not a certain way, it's okay with me if we try to come up with all three of them. But if what I think I hear you saying is that there's an awful lot of Matroska media capsules out there, and you're not sure what's in all of them.
Well, it's
So,
not even that. It can also be the source which is not Matroska, and when you're maxing, you don't always have the information you would like to put. Colorimetry is a good example because before HDR came, like nobody cared about it.
mhm.
And after that, you had to because the file wouldn't play properly if you didn't have the information. So only now people are doing the right thing. But like before 10 years ago, anything that's before that is just bogus. But
Yeah,
about that paragraph and that section in general, uh, it's trying to give some guidelines of how to do it without going into too much details. Because if we start going into details, then that means we have to go through all the elements in a track entry. So basically, there's like 50 of them. I don't know, 30.
yeah,
Something like that. And we would have to say, oh, for that one, it's mandatory, so you have to set it or something. This one's not mandatory, but then you have to map it that
yeah,
way, etc. And basically, you would have to do that for every codec. And that's basically, if you look at the AV1 codec specification, that's on the side, that is not in that document, but it's another document that's in the repository. It's just one markdown file. It's huge. It's the equivalent of the same thing that's done for ISO BMFF, but for Matroska and WebM. And basically, you go through the whole bit stream of AV1 and say, oh, that bit in the system, you interpret it, blah, 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 and then it gives you that field in Matroska. And that's huge. And that's good because it removes a lot of uncertainties, but then uh, I don't think we can do that for most codec. And even the
yeah.
AV1
And
ISO
I
BMFF,
don't want to
sometimes you
drive
find
you.
the, sorry.
I don't want to drive you guys crazy. So this is actually a thing I had typed. That's kind of what we're talking about, where we say,
Mhm.
uh, simple block is usually not used.
Hmm.
But one exception would be a codec where the duration's always the same, doesn't need to be set, or you don't need to use the default or the default duration element is set. In which case, it's fine, and people can use simple block, and that everybody will be happy.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm talking about. Where it's like if there's a reason that you already know why this would not be the way that we think it should be, but there's a good reason why it's not. If we say one reason might be this, and that and then people can say, oh, but it might not always be this way. Is there a good reason why it's not this way besides the one that the CELLAR working group put in the spec? I don't mind. I think what we're talking about is how much you're supposed to be thinking versus how much people who read this need to be thinking. And I don't
Hmm.
think you need to do all the thinking.
Yeah.
I I
Well, in
I, I,
that
want I want I want
particular
you
case,
I
we
want
can
I want us to
probably
help.
add
Yeah,
in that part. Yeah, go
yeah.
on.
You see what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Um, and again, this unless the Mitrosky implementation is used with mixers that don't perform this processing, and if that's a good reason why, then I don't it doesn't matter what the other reasons are. You know,
Well, I think
uh,
in this case, it could be like Jerome said that Muxers must do this, but players must expect otherwise because of legacy. But that's a way to say in the future, the clean way to do it is that way.
mhm. So I got more approved. Robert Sparks had one suggestion for 986. And
Yeah, I
if we
did
want,
not watch that one. I have to read it more. Well, actually, I don't know if he agreed with what I said because Reto proposed that it should be a BCP 14 must, but I don't think so. But then Roberts proposed the rewording, so I don't know if he wants to integrate that or not.
I so the thing, Robert, I was an area director for 6 years. Robert was an area director for 4 years, but Robert was a better area director than I was for 4 years. So, so if for his suggestion, I would agree with his suggestion. Uh, just
Okay.
just because he's very knowledgeable on what people say in reviews. And the other thing is, I have not really been reading that many reviews since I left the ISG, but Robert has been. So, as on different review teams and things like that. So, he's basically saying current practice on BCP 14 keywords, it would be better to say one way to do this would be to use the sub resync
Mhm.
routine rather than saying you must use this routine.
Yeah, I agree that the text
Yeah,
that people should use that product is just weird.
yeah.
But that's the text we had for 20 years. So, but yeah, it's not very good.
So yeah, and I had this thing about so we're saying the timestamps need to be increasing in value, and I was just saying that would be good. This was not clear to me. Uh, is
Yeah,
this in a
the thing
this
is
is in
that
a comment? That's in a comment anyway, isn't it?
yes, and that's the weird thing is that it's a comment about the subrib
Yeah,
format, and not even the Matroska format.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could
Yeah.
remove it and nobody would care.
Yeah. That would
Because
be
we're
fine
not
with me.
specifying it, but apparently it's, well, yeah, it's a bit specified elsewhere, but there's like one web page where you can read about it. On the other hand, I don't know if, yeah, it's probably still used a lot for DVDs.
So we don't have to fix all the comments in the examples.
Mm.
Cool. And another thing that I was tending to say was Matroska decoders have to be prepared for the timestamp to be stored here in a legacy media encapsulation. So basically, this isn't where it's supposed to be, but you can't be surprised if you find it there, and you shouldn't, crash because
Yeah,
you saw it. So that would be that's the kind of thing that I think about when, because you
well,
and
we
I,
can say that if the time if a timestamp is found in the codec data, it must be ignored because the proper timestamp is in Matroska.
yeah, if you have a choice of two, this is the right one. If you don't have a choice of two, use the one that you've got.
Mm.
Is that basically it?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that, I said, that makes perfect sense. Uh, Still excellent. This is still excellent and approved. This is still okay. And um, I made a suggestion here. Again, this is you might not include a duration if somebody's using
Yeah,
default
that's
duration.
the same
So
same thing.
yeah, those kinds of things. Uh, when you say if so, am I getting this right? So uh, the player side, if the player side does not have the duration, then what the player is supposed to do is tricky. Is that what you're saying?
No, yeah, so the thing is that you could have a duration where you usually have a duration set for subtitles,
Uh-huh.
but if you say that player must respect it, um, it's true, but on the other hand, how correctly does it has to do it? Because timing is very tricky thing in video. And basically, for example, if you have a subtitle for 40 milliseconds, but your video frame is 33 milliseconds, do you show the subtitles in the next frame of 33 milliseconds also or not? Which one is the correct way? So
So when
I
I
don't even know
volunteer,
if there's a system that specifies this, or usually some systems they have uh, fixed frame rates and the subtitles have to match the video. But if that's not the case, then it's a best effort from the player.
yeah, yeah,
So for
and
me, I didn't put a must because of that, but as must as they can, it's a best effort. They should really be as close possible as the duration.
so I had on this one in 7 on security considerations. Um, so we're talking about something being mandatory, but it's not there.
Mhm.
And at least for protocol specifications, what I think mandatory means is if something is mandatory and it's not there, that's a protocol violation. You know, you should just discard it. But to say this is customary, but it's not there, maybe that's okay.
Well,
So
that's
just use the word.
typically the case with a VP9, because the codec private element in Matroska is not mandatory.
Yeah.
But each codec has to define if it needs one or not. Right now, we don't say if it's optional or not. Maybe that's something we should clarify, that if codec private is defined, it must be present. But in some cases, like VP9, if it's not present, it's still possible to play the file. For some codec, if it's not there, it's impossible.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see that. So it's just like I said, just clarifying that so that it's not
It's mandatory, but per codec.
what you said makes more sense than what I thought the spec said.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you know what I'm thinking. Uh,
Yeah,
and
I
the thing,
might add some text to explain, because, for example, now we have the initialization field for all the codecs is set. Sometimes it's set to none, meaning there's no codec private. Otherwise, it defines what's inside. And if it's not done already in that initialization explanation, we have to say that if it's present, it must be in the file unless specified in the codec description.
Mhm.
And in the case of VP9, then we have to say that the codec private may not be found in some cases.
So that got me all the way through my comments.
Mhm.
And I will send this to the mailing list and say, as discussed on the call today.
Yeah.
We have 4 minutes left, and I would like to have a quick to provide a quick follow-up of FFV1 development.
Okay.
So, for FFV1 v3, we have the FFV1 v3 GPU decoder, which landed in FFmpeg. And it is planned that it is released with FFmpeg version 8, so in the next few weeks. So we will have a GPU encoder and decoder for FFV1 v3. And Michael Niedermeyer worked a lot on FFV1 v4 update. It is not visible in the GitHub repository for the IETF specification, but the reference decoder and encoder were updated with float support, for example, and a couple of other optimizations. Now we need to add to update the draft of FFV1 version 4 for matching the code in FFmpeg, the reference decoder. The update is for FFV1 version 4 for the update.
And that's including what? I'm sorry.
So, sorry. I can write it maybe.
Okay.
Update for FFV1 and so FFV1 v3, oh, my French. FFV1 version 3 is getting a decoder, an official GPU decoder. So a GPU decoder, so GPU accelerated.
Perfect.
created decoder. And so I would say I try to I write
Perfect.
something, and so we have two dots, and to include improvements in the reference
Perfect.
decoder.
Excellent. Thank you, and thank you for providing the update.
It is Michael Niedermeyer worked a lot on that, and I tried to finish. So I finished some QA for the GPU decoder this week, so today, and I tried to do QA on the float support this week before the release of FFV1 version 8.
Perfect.
So we
Is
can
there any-
finally play
Thank you for
FFV1 in real
the
time.
update.
I hope we can play. We can play 4K of FFV1 with a good GPU. For the 6K, still difficult, especially 16-bit. But 4K 10-bit with a GeForce 4070 Ti, we can do real-time decoding for 4K 10-bit.
Cool.
Okay.
Oh.
Cool.
I didn't try in VLC, so I use FFplay. So I don't know, maybe there will be some bottlenecks in VLC.
Right now we build with Fmpeg 7. I guess we'll update to 8 when it's out.
Yeah, there is an issue with 10 bits, if I remember well. There is a slowdown because the pixel format is not supported, so there is a transformation from the internal FFmpeg pix format to VLC something, and it is slow.
Okay.
So I don't know if this bottleneck is still there. We talked about that a few years ago. So it is the reason I am not
Since then,
sure.
we have done a lot of 10 bits. In OpenGL, it was tricky. Now I think it's clean. And on Windows, DirectX 3D 11, it's already supported
I will
either
try
from
again.
GPU source or CPU source. So both work fine.
Okay, I will give it a new try. But yeah, with the GPU, I hope that we can have 4K playback in real time at some point.
Cool. Is there anything else we need to talk about on today's call?
Not for me.
No.
And we have another call in April because today is the leftover March call.
Yeah.
So it's coming up soon. And cool.
We should have a tags and codec document update by then.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you guys for a really productive meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I look forward to getting the what is that? The tags draft revision and starting working group last call on that. And I hope we would be able to do the revision on do working group last call on Codec 15 before too long.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be awesome. And then we can go work on the other stuff that we kept saying we were going to get to when we finished. When we finished the Matrosky stuff. So yeah, cool. Thank you guys both for being here. It is always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Make good choices.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.